So the next topic that I am going to start is enterprise risk management in cloud computing, and this is topic of subject cloud computing for business. The subject code is KMBIT-03. So about this topic, enterprise risk management, here is the list of references that you may refer for further study. As first is your textbook, and rest are some two good blogs about the topic. Like this is a white paper of this KOSO framework. Okay, so you may refer it. This is a PDF, and as well as second one is a good blog regarding this topic. Okay. So, what about this enterprise risk management in cloud computing? So, the beneficial role of cloud computing is the enterprise risk management architecture may best be perceived through the optimization of organizational governance, risk and compliance (GRC) activities. What is governance? Means all the activities related with governing practices. Okay, and risk and compliance means what are the various types of risk are there. There are two types of risk: natural risk and assignable risk are there. Okay, and what are the compliance regarding that? So cloud computing can reduce the overall degree of complexity involved with most on-premises physical computing and information storage operations by simplifying data center operations, enhancing resource utilization, and providing alternate backup and disaster recovery tools that otherwise may not be available under one single technological form. Basically, while dealing with this enterprise risk management as the process of strategic management, similarly you should deal with this process. Enterprise risk management means first you should identify various risk alternatives. What are the various risk alternatives over there? Like you may rectify the assignable causes, but you may not rectify the natural causes, as natural causes are uncontrollable causes. Okay, and the assignable causes are the controllable causes. So you should prepare a strategy to mitigate the impact of only assignable causes, and you should identify, and you should also prepare a strategy that how to mitigate the impact of this natural causes also. Like what are the various natural causes, like flood, earthquake, tsunami. So all these are natural causes that are uncontrollable, but you may you may prepare a strategy to prevent such type of impact. Okay, like nowadays we are using modular type of construction techniques, so that we could make the earthquake resistance buildings are there. So these all are some alternatives that we have prepared to mitigate the impact of such type of natural disaster or natural causes of risk, basically. Okay, so consequently specific GRC solution that plays critical role in organization ERM activities can be offered and accessed globally based on specific need of the organization, while maintaining the much needed scalability and security to maintain a competitive edge. Okay, so this is basically enterprise risk management in cloud computing. So what you should deal while dealing with this cloud computing. So here is a KOSO framework. We may go for that. Okay. So further discussing about this enterprise risk management in cloud computing, by deploying appropriate cloud computing solution, computer and storage resources become rather instantly available on demand. Okay, like if you are using this cloud computing, so computer and other storage resources that be made available by your that cloud vendor whenever you require it. Okay, so cloud computing terminates the need to lease brick and mortar hardware, physical facilities, or employ and train more on-site human resources to ensure compliance. Means this by adopting this cloud enabled environment, you have now means you have now this stopped using brick and mortar type of hardware or physical facility to deploy within your premises. Okay, and you have shifted it to some means to your that cloud provider services. So by keeping the cost down, the right adoption of plan can make the GRC an unified, transparent, and global effort on the part of organizations to maintain compliance and manage risk while remaining strategically competitive and economically sustainable. Okay, so when planned, deployed, and managed appropriately, cloud computing empowers organization to adopt a viable ERM architecture and best practices for rationalizing and re-engineering GRC business processes. Okay, and specialization of resources, enhancement of information and data management, as well as reduction of potential and existing impediments associated with legacy IT investment. Okay, so these all are about means how to plan or how to strategize the means countermeasure of various risk scenario in this cloud computing. Okay, so here is a recommendation of this KOSO ERM framework. Okay, so in response to the growing number of organizations utilizing cloud computing as a viable alternative for meeting their technology needs, the committee of sponsoring organization of the Tradeway Commission, that is KOSO, okay, has published a new thought paper entitled Enterprise Risk Management of Cloud Computing. Okay, mostly they are providing. There are a lot many consultant over this type of frame to deploy this type of framework. Okay, so the thought paper provides guidance on following principles of the KOSO enterprise risk management integrated framework to assess and mitigate the risk arising from cloud computing. Means what should be the countermeasures you should take while a risk situation is there. Okay, so enterprise risk management for cloud computing is the latest in a series of KOSO paper providing organization and ERM practitioners guidance on effective risk management. So here is the KOSO framework. Means first you should go for this cloud options. Okay, means first you should identify this what should be your business processes. Okay, and yeah, what should be your business processes, means what are the processes that you should map regarding this cloud deployment. Okay, so like you have chosen this sales, product development, manufacturing, distribution, procurement, and payroll. Okay, most of the organizations avoid HR related practices, means HR department and this accounts departments uh, in to adopt cloud basically. Okay, so first you should choose this business processes that you need to deploy the cloud based solution, and after that you should choose for the deployment model. Means public model is there, private is there, hybrid is there, community is there, and lot more many new models are also there. So you should choose a right combination of deployment models. Okay, next is this service delivery model, means software as a service, software as a solution, platform as a solution, and infrastructure as a solution. So this is basically means what are the various cloud options that you should deploy. So basically first you should map your business processes, after that deployment models, and after that service delivery models. Means that is basically deploying cloud. Okay, and after that deploying cloud, the cloud based you are a cloud solution candidate, so you should adopt this KOSO ERM framework to mitigate the impact of such type of risk. Okay, so what is KOSO ERM framework? First is this internal environment. Okay, you should assess the internal environment of your organization where you have deployed cloud-based environment. Next is objective setting. Next is event identification, means what are the various events of where the risk occur. Okay, And what is next is this risk assessment means what is the frequency of risk and what are the impacts of risk that you should assess. After that, risk response means what are the various response strategy regarding this a risk situation occur. Control activities are there, information and communication over the stakeholders are there, and monitoring such type of activity. So this is basically KOSO ERM framework. Okay, so that is a part of cloud governance. Okay, ideal cloud solution. So KOSO has recommended a framework that you should adopt to mitigate such type of assignable risk in this situation. Okay, so what is first type of first step of this KOSO ERM framework, that is assess the internal environment. Okay, so the internal environment component serves as the foundation for and defines the organization's risk appetite in terms of how risk and controls are viewed. So, for instance, if management has a policy of not outsourcing any of its operations, okay, means there is a culture of risk avoidance. This policy will limit the viable option for cloud deployment and service delivery models, so that the private cloud solutions might be the only acceptable alternatives. Means if you are having any confidential data and you do not want to expose it in external environments, so you should choose this private cloud model over there. Okay, next is objective setting. What is objective? Objective always should be in line with your vision and mission. Okay, so the management needs to evaluate how cloud computing aligns with the organization's objective. Okay, so depending on the circumstances, cloud computing might present an opportunity for the organization to enhance its ability to achieve existing objectives, or it might present an opportunity to gain a competitive advantage which would require new objectives to be defined. Okay, basically you have deployed a cloud enabled environment just to having certain objectives over there. Okay, so based on those objectives, you should check whether these objectives are in align with your cloud computing practices or not. Okay, so that is basically objective setting. Now the next step is this event identification. So management is responsible for identifying the events, either opportunities or risk, that can affect the achievement of objective. Okay, so what are the various risk situations are there, and what are the opportunities or what are the situations where such type of risks are occur that you should identify. Okay, so the complexity of event identification and risk assessment processes increases when an organization engages cloud service providers. So management needs to consider external environment factors like regulatory, economic, natural, political, social, and technological, as well as the organization's internal factors like cultural, okay, personal and financial health. Okay, as the part of process when identifying and assessing the risk event, as in case of a strategy, you use that environmental scanning. Similarly, in this field, you should identify the events where the risk occur. Okay, so with the use of public or hybrid cloud solution, management needs to take into consideration event affected by external and internal factors of its CSP. CSP is what? Cloud service provider as well. Okay, so management should endeavor to have a complete inventory of events, since the nature and the quality of risk assessment process is significantly influenced by the expected events. Okay, so you should identify such type of events that are occur in different risk scenario. Okay, and what are the impact or frequency of those risks, that also must be assessed over there. So what is risk assessment means basically profiling of risk means what is the frequency and what are the impacts of risk basically. Okay, so management should evaluate the risk events associated with its cloud strategy to determine the potential impact of risk associated with each cloud computing options. Ideally, the risk assessment should be completed before an organization moves to a cloud solution. So cloud computing can affect the following critical focal points of a risk assessment. Like you should create a profile for risk. Okay, so an organization risk profile encompasses the entire population of risk it must manage. And when a cloud solution is adopted, an organization's risk profile is altered due to change in the likelihood of risk. Means what are the likelihood or what are the frequency of risk, the potential impact of risk, what are the means is it a long term impact or is it short term impact or is it medium term impact that you should identify, and inclusion of the subset of CSP risk universe. Okay, so refer to the risk profile impact and cloud service providers or fellow cloud tenant discussion at the end of this section. Okay, so this is basically the risk profile. Next is inherent and residual risk. An organization must assess the inherent risk of the events and then develop the risk responses and determine the residual risk. Okay, so what are the inherent risk and what are the residual risk that you should identify? And depending on the organization, the non-cloud computing solution inherent and residual risk level could be either greater or less than those of the cloud computing options. Okay, so you have make the risk profile as well as you have identified whether these risks are inherent or residual. After that, you would identify the likelihood and impact. Means what are the various frequency of occurring such type of risk and what are the impact of those risks. Okay, so the likelihood of certain events and related potential impact change in many cases when cloud solutions are adopted. So the ability to make this determination accurately depends on whether the organization has a comprehensive, accurate, and current inventory of risk. So in some situations, management will not have access to all the required information related to CSP's internal control environment. Consequently, certain assumptions will have to be made in order to complete the risk assessment. Okay, so you should identify what are the frequency of various risk and what are the impact of those risks in your business processes basically. Okay, next is this risk response. So once the risk have been identified and assessed in context of organizational objective relative to the cloud computing, management needs to determine its risk response. Okay, so there are four types of risk response, like avoid those type of risk. Okay, means existing the activities giving rise to risk, means not moving to the cloud or considering only private cloud type of solution as viable options. Means as I have told earlier, that if you are dealing with confidential data, then you should simply pick this private cloud option. Okay, not other than that. Okay, so that is basically risk avoidance. Okay, next is reduction, means implementing control activities and taking action to reduce the risk likelihood, risk impact, or both. Okay, so reduction would be there, or sharing means reducing risk likelihood or risk impact by transferring or otherwise sharing a portion of risk. Means buying insurance. Okay, you have bought insurance, means basically you have shared the risk of shared risk with your insurance service provider. Okay, so that is sharing. So these are various risk response strategy. Next is this acceptance. Okay, so taking no action to affect risk likelihood or impact. For example, when an organization does not have direct ability to manage the control of its CSP, the organization is accepting an increased level of inherent risk. Okay, so these are some strategies that you should adopt in different risk scenario. Means you should avoid such type of risk, or you should reduce the impact of those type of risk, or you should share it with your insurance service provider, or you should accept it. Okay, such type of risk are there, so we should means take no action in that case. So with the most hybrid and public cloud solutions, management relies on third party managed controls, and this reduces management's ability to mitigate the risk directly. I am just giving you an example of this type of risk acceptance. We all know that using or accessing internet is not safe for us. Okay, but we are using or maintaining our different social media accounts, so that is basically we have accepted that risk. Okay, we will not share any financial information or any means any information that I want to protect, but we may use to share our general information with the in that my in our social media account. So that is basically acceptance of that risk. Okay, so similarly, if you are not able to deal such type of risk, then you should accept it, because you are generally getting some points over there. Okay, so with most hybrid or public cloud solutions, management relies on the third party managed control, and this reduces management ability to mitigate risk directly. Okay, so this implies that the level of inherent risk will be increased with the adoption of most CSP solutions, and as a result, management will likely need to increase its risk appetite. So basically, you should choose a risk response. Means in earlier phase risk assessment, you have identified what are the risk profile, what are the impact, and what are the frequency of that risk, and in this step you would decide that how to deal such type of risk. Okay, now next is control activity. The traditional type of control are this preventive, detective, manual, automated, and entity level. Okay, apply to the cloud computing as well. So the difference introduced by cloud computing is that some control responsibilities might remain with the organization, while certain control responsibilities will be transferred to CSP. Okay, so that you will decide while drafting that SLA, service level agreement. Okay, so who will control such type of a risk? So you will decide the responsible person, whether you will manage such type of risk, or your CSP will manage or control it. Okay, so if the quality of an organization's existing control activity is moderate or poor, going to a cloud solution could exacerbate internal control weaknesses. For example, if an organization with poor password control or data security practices migrates its computing environment to a public or hybrid cloud solution, the possibility of an external security breach is likely to increase significantly, due to the fact that access to the organization's technology base is now through the public internet. Like I'm giving you an example of control activity. Like in case of e-commerce, okay, generally we if we are not able to manage the payment part. Okay, so basically we choose a payment gateway. Okay, and so all the payment related activity we have made responsible to that payment gateway basically. So what is that? Basically we have decided a control activity. Means who will control, whether you will control, or some third party will control it, or your CSP will control such type of risk. So basically you should decide whether what should be the control activities over there. So next is information and communication in between all the stakeholders. Okay, so to effectively operate its business and manage the related risks, management relies on timely and accurate information and communications from various sources regarding external and internal events. Okay, so with the cloud computing, information received from a CSP might not be as timely or of the same quality as information from an internal IT function. Okay, so as a result, fulfilling management's information and communication requirement might require additional or different information processes or sources. Like in the earlier step, you should decide whether you should give a control to a third party, or you should put control by yourself, or you should make it responsible to your cloud provider. Okay. So as a result, fulfilling management's information and communication requirement might additional and different information processes or and sources. So management should also monitor external information related to its CSP, like check off your CSP's financial report, public disclosures, regulatory filing, industry periodicals, and announcement by the fellow cloud tenants. Okay, since the certain events impacting the CSP or fellow cloud tenants might also have an impact on the organization. Okay, like as a cloud client, okay, you are continuously looking towards better cloud service provider, okay, so that you can switch to the better cloud service provider as per your requirements. So you should continuously, or you should periodically check the financial reports, public disclosure, regulatory filing, industry periodicals, and other announcement by that cloud service provider, as well as other fellow cloud tenants. Okay, so that is basically information and communication. And the last step of KOSO ERM framework is this monitoring. Okay, so risk response that were once effective may become irrelevant. Okay, so one strategy does not fit for all. So you should continuously work towards, or continuously have a look towards all type of threats or risk that are occurring. So control activities may become less effective or no longer be performed, or entity objective may change. So that statement from 2004 in the KOSO's ERM integrated framework 4 remains applicable in the age of cloud computing also. Okay, so you should continuously monitor the various risk scenario, and what should be the appropriate risk strategy that you should follow. Okay, so management must continue to monitor the effectiveness of its CRM program to verify that the program adequately addresses the relevant risk and facilitates achieving the organization's objective. So effective ERM programs are evolving and dynamic in nature, and must be increasingly so given the pace of cloud computing's evolution in terms of solution offering, competitors adopting the cloud and changing laws. So you should continuously monitor the activities, or monitor the risk situations that are occurring in your cloud environment. Okay, or in your cloud based solutions. Okay, so this is all about the enterprise risk management and KOSO ERM framework basics. So you may refer following the references for further study. Okay, so if you have any query or doubt,